no matter what type of project it is focused on the experience and the experience of working with us.
Are you ready to learn how to grow your interior design business? Welcome to the lounge, the Chaise Lounge. So get comfortable, grab a glass of Cabernet, and let's talk the business of interior design. Now, here's your host, Nick May.
Well, welcome, and thanks for joining me today in the lounge. I'm Nick May, your host, and today we're going to be talking about growing your interior design business. So whether you're in Chicago, Milan, or Petersburg, Virginia, I know you want to do one thing. You want to grow your interior design business, and we're going to do just that by finding out how successful designers do that from around the world. Hey guys, we have a great show, but before we jump in, let me remind you, you can connect me over at the Chaise Lounge Podcast.com, and you can join us on social media at the Chaise Lounge. So I don't know how you're dealing with the shelter at home. We're kind of on the back end of it. Seems like things are opening up. I have to say, one of the places I have absolutely loved to go and hang out and do my social distancing has been in my backyard, hanging out in my porcelanosa chairs, but more specifically, my Adirondack chairs. Love hanging out around the fire pit. If you guys are not familiar with Polywood, you need to get to know Polywood. They make some incredible furniture, and it's all made from recycled materials. In the last couple of years, they've been expanding their product line, and they've got some really great designer spaces. We're definitely into the outdoor season, and people are probably getting sick of what they have in the backyard. So please go check out all the backyard wonders that Polywood has in store for you at polywood.com. So right as we got into the coronavirus issues and started to get into lockdown, I had an opportunity to interview Todd Esrin. They actually work in multifamily, commercial, and residential. But let's jump into my conversation with Todd. Well, joining me in the lounge, I have Todd Esrin. Hey, Todd.
Hey, Nick.
How are you today?
I am dandy. How are you?
I'm good. Where in the world am I talking to you from?
So I am in Bethesda, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C.
All right. Are you guys on lockdown?
The state has closed all shopping centers and malls, and bars and restaurants are shuttered to dine-in service, but can still do carry-out and delivery. Mm-hmm. And it's the same in the District of Columbia.
Yeah. I think that's similar to where we are. So small businesses are still somewhat operating, but it's crazy times.
Our office is open, but we've closed the loop, and vendors are not allowed in. Mm-hmm. And the only people allowed in are, mail, UPS, FedEx. And I told them to just drop the stuff at the door and bye-bye.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to totally focus on that. We'll probably touch on that, on what you're doing here in just a minute. Okay. I'm going to get to know you just a little bit. Where'd you grow up?
I actually grew up here. I was born in Washington, D.C. My family goes back to the mid and late 1800s in the city. And I was raised in suburban Maryland and only left to go to college in upstate New York, but came right back home.
All right.
After that.
So very close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's a favorite childhood memory for you?
I grew up in a great family, but our summers, 2-week vacations at the beach were always a nice memory.
Mm-hmm. Anytime.
And just, we had a pool in the backyard, so it was always, all summer long, just lots of friends in the family always hanging out at our house.
Sure. What's on your coffee table right now?
On my coffee table? My sister would tell you there is too much on my coffee table. But there is a box that contains all the remotes because I am my mother's son and we don't like remotes just sitting around. There is a glass sculpture, multicolored glass sculpture. There is I collect model cars, and the centerpiece of my collection is a piece of French cut crystal that's in the shape of, it's a Buick Riviera. Mm-hmm. I have a lighter that is Italian, that is from my grandparents' house that I cherish. And there's just a little box on there that is something reminds me of my parents and my grandparents.
You do have a lot on your table.
Oh, and that's just on the top shelf. There's a lower shelf too.
Oh, that's good. I think we'll stop there.
Yeah.
So when the travel bans are lifted, where do you like to go on vacation now?
Well, we were supposed to be leaving for the Dominican Republic on April 1st, so that will be where we will be going later this year.
Yeah, the DR. That's a super fun place.
Yeah.
So we took the family there several years ago, and it was awesome.
I have never been, but the resort looks amazing.
Yeah,
and we'll rebook it for later this year.
Sure. My wife and I are supposed to go to Europe in September, and I'm just hoping with everything in my being that we get to still go. We're celebrating our.
You may be safe by then.
I hope so. It's but it's
celebrating.
It's a cruise ship. I mean, it's not one of those big ones, but it's one of the riverboat cruise ships. And so that worries me just a little bit. But we've been talking about doing this for over a year, but we'll see.
You started to say it's a special celebration.
Oh yeah, it's our 25th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
So we have fallen in love with Europe, and we continue to try to go to new places. And we've been watching these riverboat cruises, and we know that most of the people that go on them are about almost double our age. But the places that they go look amazing, and the food looks amazing, and we're like, we can afford to do it. Let's go do it.
You should. I've spent a lot of time in Europe. It's amazing.
Well, we've done Spain, and we've done France, and we've done Italy, and so this will take us to a couple of new places, Amsterdam, and I think it goes through Germany, which I've never spent any time in. So very, very excited to go, but just kind of a little bit anxious about whether we get to go or not. If it's not safe, we'll postpone it, to next year, and we'll still get to go, but we would love to do it this year. So at what point did you figure out that you liked interior design?
Probably in high school when I took an architecture class.
Oh, wow. Architecture in high school.
Actually, we have an intern that goes to a program at a technical high school for architecture half a day, every day over when she's a junior in high school. But they didn't have that available when I was younger. I took a architectural class in high school, but I'm terrible in math, so I was afraid to go on to architecture school, thinking that I just wouldn't do well. So I actually went to business school first. Not exactly the brightest thing, because you do use a lot of math in business school as well. But I did a general business degree, and then when I graduated, I came back home. I actually worked in a hotel for a few years, but I still something in me I still had the interest. So I decided to go back to school to a local university in Virginia and get my design degree. And when I finished that, I started working for a firm in Rockville, Maryland, and then a firm downtown Washington, D.C., and started Toby Design Group, coming up on 9 years. But I just always knew I love it. I guess it's in my DNA. Yeah.
So your first job out of college, what was that like? What did you do?
My first design job?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was a small firm in Rockville. I was the fifth one to join the company. We doubled within a year. The focus of the firm was working on multifamily residential projects. And in our area, she was really more of a pioneer of that market. There was only one other firm in the area doing that type of design. And she's still very much a good friend and mentor today, and her firm has grown. But it was she literally taught me, I'd say, almost everything I know about running my business and my design and doing design.
What kind of things were you doing in those early days? Were you like a junior designer, or?
I was a junior designer, but because it was a small firm, I got exposed to everything. So I got to work on all aspects of design projects from inception to completion. She also taught me procurement. So I was very used to specifying and procuring furniture, taking care, really doing site visits, drawings, everything. I was lucky to join a small firm, I think, because then you get exposed to everything and not pigeonholed.
Right. Yeah, you go to a big one and they just have you going and getting samples or something.
Yeah, I got to travel to projects in New York, Boston, Chicago.
And I've talked to several designers that are in that multifamily space and designers that have that started there. And the one thing that I've heard probably over and over is that it's a great learning ground because you're doing a lot of projects and you it's more about speed in the multifamily. Would you say that's accurate?
I don't know that I would say it's more about speed. But it's kind of a hybrid, it's commercial work, but it has a residential flavor to it because they are condominium or apartment buildings and they're the public spaces. So it's not an office, but then, depending on the project, if it's a rental building, there is an office, commercial component more, for the leasing office. So I find it very interesting. Mm-hmm. I like the market. I worked on it on and off for over 20 years doing multifamily residential design. And it's a big part of our project base.
So you still do it today?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We're working on a big project up in Towson, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, let's fast forward and come to today. Give us a sense, how big's the firm? How many folks work with you? And then, of course, what kind of projects are you guys doing? Obviously, multifamily is one of them.
So we're still a relatively small firm. As I'm the principal of the firm. Lily is a full-time senior designer who joined the firm at the end of November. She just moved down to Washington from Brooklyn. And then we have Marcia, who is our part-time office manager, takes care of a lot of things, wears a lot of hats. And then I'm actually lucky to have even my sister working remotely for us from Seattle, who is in charge of our marketing efforts, social media, and even handling our procurement.
And she just helped you launch a brand new website, right?
She did. She spearheaded the whole effort, and we're getting a lot of comments, good comments on the look of it, as well as our social media presence. She's really ramped that up.
Yeah, that's a huge undertaking when you go do a new website.
It is. We've been working on it. It took us a good part of a year.
Wow, that's quite some time.
Yeah.
And then what kind of projects? So you got the multifamily.
So we've got the multifamily. We have a few corporate projects, and then we have mostly the other big areas, residential.
Okay. In residential, what does that look like? Are you guys doing ground ups? Are you doing remodels? What? Mostly
remodels and redecoration.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have the capabilities of, doing a ground up. We can do the full architectural interior drawings.
So I do want to dive in a little bit on the topic of the day. We've got this coronavirus thing. How has that affected your business right now?
Well, business is definitely, I can see things are slowing down a bit. We're still very much operational. Mm-hmm. Our office is open just to employees and delivery only. But we've reassured our clients we're here. Even if we have to work remotely, we'll take care of them. We're trying to close as many proposals as we can in the next few days, just for fear that there's going to be a nationwide quarantine.
Yeah. What have you done anything like reduced hours or anything around the office?
No, we haven't really needed to do that yet. But we're also going to, start rolling out a social media campaign to try to do some e-design for people. We can do video consultations. We can do Zoom or Skype or Google Meet if we need to.
We were talking in my office yesterday that if we can weather the storm, if we can be here in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whenever it's, starts to kind of go back to normal, I have no idea how long that's going to take. If we still can be standing, then there's going to be a lot of work because I think people are they're going to just, mm-hmm. they're going to be so sick and tired of their homes that they've got to do something, right?
Yeah, definitely. And even in the short term, like you want to create a sanctuary in your bedroom because your kids are driving you mad, maybe we can help you just change things around a little bit. People need to relax and shelter in place for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Have you guys seen any projects get canceled or postponed?
We haven't seen that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I've heard from other people that they're getting some projects canceled or, put on hold.
Mm-hmm. We've seen, I think, $24,000 worth of work get postponed just in the last couple of days. It didn't happen to us right away. I had painter friends all over the country, and other people were, losing out on $10,000 projects, and so it's taken us a little bit of time. We're in the middle of the country. Mm-hmm. I always feel like we don't get hit with that kind of stuff nearly as fast or as hard. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. From the business aspect, any other measures you think you might have to take? I have friends that have had to do massive layoffs in their bigger firms. Any concerns in that direction?
Only if it goes on for a prolonged period of time. But I'm taking some measures to get access to loans so that we don't have to do anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hope if we do this quarantine that it might only be 1 to 2 weeks, and it can, as they say on the news, flatten the curve, because people aren't going out and about.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can predict what's going to happen. So, that's an absolute last resort.
Yeah. I'm on your website and you've got a shop area. How much of online business do you guys do?
Very little. We tried to do a pop-up shop in the office, actually, back in December, selling pillows and accessories and some furniture, and it didn't really go well. So we've been trying to promote stuff. Through social media. I think December was a bad time to do it. So we're just trying to put stuff on the website that we could sell off in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're slowly getting rid of things that we can use for other projects. So it's not something, I'm not necessarily wanting to become an e-retailer at the moment.
Right. And I know you're starting to do some e-design kind of things. What does that look like for you guys?
Well, it's something new territory, so I really don't know. It's just something that we're going to be rolling out in a social media campaign in the next week or two, and we'll see how it goes. We're going to post it on our Facebook page, on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and hopefully we can do video consultations with clients. Our CFO consulting firm is putting us in touch with somebody who has a yoga studio that's been closed, but she wants to renovate it while it's closed. Yeah,
whatever we can do to get in with those spaces that are shut down, as long as we don't get shut down, right?
Right, but I think, there's ways of things that we can always do. We can do things remotely. It's just a new way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, I'm going to push the pillows to get rid of the pillows that we have in the office.
Push the pillows.
We've been inundated with pillows that I'm tired of looking at.
Yeah. Do you guys do much video content?
We haven't, because I'm not really a fan of being on video myself, but it's something I'm coming around to. I've been very strongly encouraged by several people inside the firm and outside that we need to do more video content. So we did do one, a cute one. I don't think it's on our website. It's somewhere on our Facebook page, of a remodel that we're working on near the office. And
mm-hmm.
I was in Las Vegas in January for the Kitchen and Bath Show, and there was this pink tub that was in one of the resorts, and I got sat in it because we're getting rid of a pink tub in a client's home, and we did a fun little video of it.
Yeah. Well, one way you could get rid of some pillows is do like a short video of kind of decorating a space, and so like you could do this in your house or in your office, that you have an area that's already done, and you basically deconstruct it. And so that's your starting point. And then you layer in all the different things, and then include some of those pillows and some of those accessories that you have in your warehouse or wherever you guys have that, and then promote them.
That's a good idea. I think we have a little vignette area in the office that we could stage that.
Yeah. I think people think, oh, well, everything's already done in my office. Well, all you got to do is take it all out, set up a camera, and
that's a very good idea.
And then you can really do, and if you've got a lot of different things, you could literally just do that same vignette over and over and over in different ways. And people like to see that, because it just gives them different ideas of, okay, this is the space done contemporary, or this is more traditional, and you just bring in different things.
That's a really good idea. Thanks for the
tip. I'm always good for ideas.
Yeah, I like ideas.
Yeah. What's hard? I mean, outside of the virus thing, because that's hard for everybody, but outside of that, what's hard for you as a business owner? Because there's always things that we have to do because we're the business owner and we don't really like to do them, but we have to do them. What's that for you, Todd?
Well, it's the business side of the business that you have to run.
Mm-hmm.
It's, as a business owner, you're responsible for bringing in new business. So it's business development. You're responsible for, the financial health of the company, employee relations, managing clients, managing the staff, managing the project, making sure the bottom line is healthy, and always reevaluating. Let's say like our payroll service provider we're changing this year, our 401k plan administrator we're changing this year. It's always looking at those types of things. And sure, that's not the fun thing. I mean, I had to do a forecast for this year, or projections. I was dragging my feet to get it done because I don't want to. It's just boring to me.
Yeah. So you'd just rather be out there designing.
Yeah, and I have to do more business development. That's something I need to really ramp up. And so bringing on a senior designer will allow me to step back from, doing some of the day-to-day design work. Not that I want to give it up completely because, it's what drives me. It's what gives me passion. But I need to go out and meet people, bring in business. And the other challenging thing is really condominium associations. They're so slow to make decisions. I'm sure you might have experienced this in the painting world. Anytime you have to deal with a board of directors and a potentially decorating committee, it just slows things down so much. So,
agreed. Not a big fan of working within the committees.
Yeah. The committees themselves could be okay, but it's like getting the board of directors. And we put a proposal in for a project a year ago, April. Then they sent me an RFP in July of last year with a new proposal to be resubmitted in September. And it's still outstanding.
Yeah, that's why it's nice to have different layers into your business where you're working with the residential side and then the commercial side. And yeah,
exactly. And so we would like to focus on meeting actually property management companies for higher end rental communities, because when you're dealing with just the owner of the building or the management company, it's they're the owner. There's no committee to make a decision.
What's the process look like for you guys when you're onboarding, let's say, a new residential client?
I'll go meet a client at no charge for about an hour, just to get to know them. I call it a client consultation, but I won't do design work. I might, throw something out there, but we'll go meet, because I really feel like we're developing a relationship. They're entrusting me to hire us, to even be in their personal space, to spend their money wisely. And so I feel like it's very much a commercial, relationship. And once we do that, if they want us to move forward, if they're interested in potentially moving forward, we'll send them a letter of agreement, which basically outlines everything we've talked about. And I really outline in detail the scope of work in our proposal. We won't do any work until we're engaged. We get a letter of engagement, and then we have a client questionnaire that we will send them or we'll fill out with them in person. We document and photograph their space in very much detail. And we try to get a lot of information up front as much as we can. So, and then we start working on it. And we outline in our contract, we outline the phases of the design. We develop a schedule for presentations and meetings.
Are those meetings usually done on their site and at their hosts, or do you bring them into the office?
I would prefer if they could come to the office, because if it's a small job, I don't mind going there. But if we have to carry a lot of samples, I'd rather them come, because, if we want to make some changes, or I want to show them other fabrics, everything's in my office. Right. We have a very extensive library.
Do you think that, I know I've talked to a lot of people about different libraries and a lot of things are going digital. Do you think that will stay a staple in most design firms, having a big library?
Well, when I say it's a big library, it's it's not a big library, but yes, I think we've gotten rid of catalogs where we can look at things online. Light fixtures, fabrics, carpet samples, wood finish samples. We need to see them in person.
Yeah.
And so yes, I maintain that's what I keep most of is samples.
Yeah.
It reduces time because I don't have to go out to a resource. I don't have to run to the design center, because we have probably thousands of fabrics here in the office.
Do you guys have a design center close by?
There is a Washington Design Center, yes. It's actually a pretty nice one. Not, as big as something like in New York, but they actually moved to an office building a few years ago, and it's actually much nicer than it used to be. But we don't buy a lot of furniture out of the design center. We buy direct from manufacturers, but we do use it for fabric resource. But a lot of the reps come here and give us presentations. And then I'm in a small peer group that I started. So sometimes I'll have some of my other designer friends come in my peer group, and they can listen into a presentation from a fabric vendor or furniture or whatnot.
Why do you make the conscious decision to not buy from the design center and go directly to the manufacturers?
It boils down to pricing. I get much better pricing if I don't have to go through a middleman.
Okay. And the service that they're able to provide you doesn't make up for it?
No, it doesn't, because I work directly with the manufacturer reps who service and take care of me. And I've been purchasing, I'm used to the procurement since 1996. So I know the ins and outs and the questions to ask.
Do you think design centers are better suited to help the smaller designer?
I think so. We, and depending on the product, there are certain lines that I could only buy through the design center. And we will. I don't think they're aligned with the showroom in the design center. So, and we do over $50,000 a year in upholstery and case goods with them.
You know, we're actually very close to the design center in Denver. I'm always amazed at the lack of traffic that goes on there. And I know that designers don't necessarily have to always be in there. They can make phone calls. But it seems like, you know, ours has shrunk tremendously. They just got out of a second building, and I'm not too ingrained in that, but I hear what you're saying a lot from designers. I'm always wondering, where are we going to be in 10 years with design centers? Are they going to go by the wayside? Do they bring enough value for the smaller designer?
They do, you know, maybe not necessarily for furniture, but, you know, clients still want to sit in a sofa that they're buying and they're using all the time. I get that question all the time. They want to do the quote unquote butt test. But, you know, if you want to go look for fabrics, you work from home designer, you might not have space. We're struggling for space because I tend to hoard. I'm not a hoarder by nature, but I do tend to hoard samples.
Right. I always thought that
I'm lazy.
I always thought a great service the design center should be offering is kind of co-working space. Like, then designers don't have to have their own office. Like, you could have an area that you could just go in and use. Does that idea at all interest you? So
it's funny you mentioned that, because I've had a thought of opening or developing a designer co-working space where we could have a larger library. I could have it maintained by a librarian, and you rent out a desk. And then, we could do like a weekly lunch and learn where this fabric vendor comes in or that furniture vendor comes in, and they bring lunch and they see, a dozen designers at a time. I think it could be a win-win at some point. Unfortunately, I'm just not going to do it right now.
Yeah, my friend Jeannie Chung out in LA is doing that right now. She's actually building out her space as we speak. I'm actually hoping to be able to go to her grand opening. She had a small showroom already, and then she's basically doubling her footprint, and she's doing exactly what we're talking about. She's building a co-working space so that someone could have access to a conference room. Most people don't need a conference room all the time, and so if you're sharing space, and I don't know, have you ever been to Chicago, the Merchandise Mart? So they have this exact setup as well, and I got to see it 2 years ago. And one of my designer friends, Julia Buckingham, she closed down her office, and basically that's what they use as their office now. So they have zero rent, there's zero cost. You go in, they have coffee and drinks and snacks and all this kind of stuff. But I just thought that was such a great idea, that's a service that could bring more traffic from designers like you into the design centers.
Yeah, I mean, I would open it in the design center building, just because I think the rent would be astronomically high. But, an urban suburban location where I could, have a much larger library and a conference room, and then either desks or, some private space for designers to go work in. And then they have access to the resource library, which is huge, because most designers I know, that work from home, they don't have a resource library.
Yeah. Or a very small one, right?
Or very small.
How many square feet would you say that you dedicate to your library?
It's probably 100, maybe 200 square feet.
Okay.
We're a small office. We just have about 660 some square feet.
Yeah. What's an area in design or work, types of work or types of projects that you've not had the opportunity to work on yet, but you would like to?
We would really like to work with like a retail brand. I couldn't tell you what type it is, but where we could help develop the whole brand, from graphics to just, setting up, this is what every single store or experience, so that wherever they are in whatever market, it's the same experience. I really truly believe that designers we're not just doing design, we're creating experiences. The experience, even in your own home, what your home says about you or how you want it to make you feel when you're home. What's that experience? What's the experience when someone walks into your office? Maybe it's a chain of offices like a financial institution or mortgages or something, and you want a consistent, just like Apple. Apple does it very well. You go into every Apple store, you know what to expect. Yep. It's all the same. It's the same level of service. It's the same level. It's the same experience. I think that, we really want to bring that to the design industry or to our clients, is no matter what type of project it is focused on the experience and the experience of working with us.
And you've worked with a couple retail brands, right? I saw some on your website.
Yeah, we've done in the past a few restaurants, and even it's an eye doctor's office and optical shop. Our benchmark for the optical shop was, and the whole office actually was, a luxury boutique hotel. You walk in there and it doesn't feel like it's a medical practice. Mm-hmm. We did away with the big bulky reception desk that's 42 inches high and the receptionist behind it. You literally will check in for your appointment either on a tablet or sit down at a concierge style type writing table desk and check in and check out for your appointment. There's banquettes to wait with, and even the optical shop, it's just very elegant.
How do you get in to do more of that? Do you know?
That's the $1 million question. And to be honest, I don't know that I have the answer for it right now.
Yeah.
Those are things we're looking at this year. We're really focusing on trying to figure out, we sat down as a team and, focusing on who our clients are, who we want our clients to be, what do they look like, and then figure out how to go after them.
Yeah. I wonder if attending like franchise conventions would be of help, just to even...
One thing, on the multifamily market side, I'm going to join a property management association, get active in that. I have to get out. I'm not really a networker myself by nature, but that's part of my role now, is I got to get out of the office more and go meet people.
Yeah.
And it's really getting your name out there and meeting people.
Yeah, it's you have to have a dual strategy. It can't just be all online. It can't be all digital. It has to be face-to-face as well. I know we experienced that as a podcast. Like before I was going to High Point and going to all the different events that I go to, it was, we weren't growing. And then when I started to make the relationships and meet people, that's when all kind of the magic started to happen for us. So I know it's the same with almost all businesses.
Yeah, I truly believe that relationships are still key. I think human contact is still extremely valuable. I do not like to have extensive text conversations with anybody really. It really irritates me. I just rather pick up the phone and talk to you.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting with the fallout and the changes that'll happen because of the coronavirus and how we'll have kind of probably a snap reaction of, okay, now we're not going to go anywhere. But I do believe that we all crave that interaction, and we crave the relationships, and that's where, when you've got that deeper relationship with your client, those are the people that are going to go out of their way to introduce you to other people that you could help, right?
Exactly. And, I'm really starting to extensively use Skype and Zoom and Google Meets with lots of different people. I mean, if a rep wants to do a presentation and they can't come to the office, well, let's do it via video.
Yeah. One thing I didn't ask you, Todd, is do you guys do anything as far as like philanthropic or in the community?
Yes, we do. I was raised in a family to do philanthropic efforts, no matter how small it is. And we have two things we do as a company, or even personally. I'm the president of the board of directors of a small nonprofit based in Montgomery County, Maryland. It's called Transformations of Montgomery County. And we have designer volunteers who will design spaces for either young adults who are aging out of foster care and now learning to live on their own, or low-income single female heads of households. And the premise is to give these young adults or low-income families a dignified space to live in that we all take for granted. And it's a huge effort to get donations. We have a small budget we give each designer, but we treat them and we design them as if we're designing for paying clients. And the other thing I started many years ago, my birthday is in early December, and while there's things that I would love for my birthday, I really don't need anything, and no one's going to buy me. No one's going to buy me the Mercedes that I want. So I started something I called Toys for Todd, and I partner with a local showroom, either in the design center or a furniture showroom or something. And I invite, 150, 200 people or more. And I partner with the Marines Toys for Tots Foundation, and everybody comes and brings toys to be donated to Toys for Tots. And, we've raised probably several thousand toys over the years. And even this past year, not only did we collect hundreds of toys, but I did a fundraising campaign on my Facebook page, and I raised, I think, about $3,000.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, yeah. So I do believe that, we are a community and we have to give back.
And you can take advantage. Every time you do an event like that, you need to get some video.
We do. I know. We're trying to work on getting more press there. It didn't work out this past year either. But that's something we very much have to work on.
Yeah. That's really cool. We've done a couple of things. We have an organization that does like bedrooms for kids that are like terminally ill or something here locally, and we did one of those this last year. And it's awesome to give back. Do you reach out to the folks at Benjamin Moore at all for like paint in some of those?
You know what? We haven't, and we don't typically do painting in the apartments. Okay. It's more just strictly stuff like decorating.
Yeah.
But not to say that we couldn't, and so that might be something we could add. We need to get a volunteer to come do the painting.
Yeah.
I'm highly allergic to manual labor.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you've got painters that you work with, or if you ever actually need to connect with painters, I know painters all across the country. In fact, I have friends in your backyard probably. And, for a painter to come out and do one room, I mean, that's stupid simple for us to go do, and that's why we do it. And then I'm always like, all right, I'll get Ben Moore to provide the paint, and I'll provide the guys. Really good. So whatever else you can do.
Good. I know, because we really do try to, it's heartbreaking, when I know that I grew up, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon, but I was not ever lacking for anything.
Right.
And I know how lucky I am. I really do. Just by luck of birth.
Correct. Yeah. Totally agree. So,
yeah.
Well, Todd, where can we send people to learn more about you?
You can send them to our website, which is tobydesignGroup.com, and Toby is T-O-B as in boy, or they can even call the office at 301-656-6600. We'd love to talk to anybody about any type of project that they might have coming down the pike.
All right. Well, thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Nick. Be safe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, stay safe.
All right. Take care.
I think we may have had that conversation about design centers once or twice on here, but I'm very interested to see how that whole industry kind of changes over the next couple of years as we're seeing more and more brands moving online and doing things differently from just using different models versus using the design centers. So it's interesting. I work with Benjamin Moore, obviously, a lot, not only as a sponsor, but as a paint contractor in Denver. And typically you're only going to see Benjamin Moore at a Benjamin Moore retailer. But in our design center here at the Denver Design Center, they have kind of I don't know what you would call it, a kiosk or an area where they have chip racks. And I think they also have kind of a small showroom, if you will, at the Chicago Merchandise Mart. I remember being there for a trade show a couple years ago and going in and seeing that they had an actual showroom. And I do believe they put those up in different places all over the country. So it's good to know. You actually could probably talk and discuss that with your A&D rep from Benjamin Moore. If you don't know who your A&D rep is, please reach out and connect with me and I can find out who that is for you. But sometimes it's just more convenient when you're at a design center. You can just go check out some chips. But sometimes when you're just at the design center looking at fabric and different things, to just go hop over to the kiosk. Most of my designer friends are familiar with Benjamin Moore, but if you're not familiar with Benjamin Moore products, I would point you in the direction of two products that you probably would want to use on almost every project. That is going to be the Regal interior paint line or the Aura interior paint line. Both are fabulous products, great technology behind these paints. And if you need more information about those or any other Benjamin Moore products, please go over to their website at benjaminmoore.com. If you have not heard, the High Point Market Authority has put out new dates for October fall market, and it's October 13th through the 21st. But the market is asking folks to select one of 3 dates during that 9-day market period. If you need more information about fall market, please go over to highpointmarket.org. And guys, that's all I've got for you today. I'm Nick May, your host, reminding you to keep dreaming big and keep designing a great design business. See ya.